Hey guys, this is Miss Booth here. All right, so you are in station number 2, and we're going to do a crash course over your notes. So get your notes ready and be ready because we're about to rock this. A lot of this is review, so don't freak out about the 6 pages of notes, 7 pages of notes. Don't freak out about this because a lot of this is repeat. A lot of this is things we've talked about before. So we're just going to do like a crash course. This video is going to be under 15 minutes. You're going to follow along, and you need to have your notes out, because we're going to start adding to our notes and we're going to do stuff with our notes. So get ready for that. The essential question. Now here's the standard. This is important. First of all, the unit, the Constitution. Then we have the standard. So by the end of this, you're going to be able to identify how the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation led to the writing of the Constitution. This is the main idea. It's not enough, guys, that we know the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation, but we need to know how those weaknesses led to the Constitution. So what are the Articles of Confederation? Remember, that was the first type of government that we decided to have as a nation. The founding fathers got together and they're like, okay. So remember the first Continental Congress, they talked about what they were going to do with that Britain. They were under British rule. They were still the colonists, but so they were, what are we going to do about the Intolerable Acts? But by the second Continental Congress, war was already upon us, and the colonists were like, okay, we're doing this. So there was 2 committees during the second Continental Congress. 2. One was a committee to write the Declaration of Independence. Thomas Jefferson wrote that. And the second one was a committee to come up with what kind of government the colonists were going to have. Were they going to be a monarchy? Were they going to be I don't know. What else do they want to do? I mean, they were going to be, an oligarchy? I mean, what were they going to do? And they decided upon this Articles of Confederation. This was the first type of government after the Revolutionary War. This was the first type of government we had in America. It flopped. It was awful. It didn't work. It had a lot of weaknesses. One, Congress had no power to tax. They couldn't tax people, so they went broke. They couldn't pay their debts from the war. They had no power to regulate trade. No power to enforce its laws. There were no judicial branch or executive branch. There was only the legislative branch, that Congress. That was it. The changes to the Articles of Confederation, remember AOC means Articles of Confederation, required unanimous consent of all 13 states, which was impossible. They couldn't agree on anything. America was in debt and couldn't pay its bills. Not good. Okay, so why did the committee that wrote the Articles of Confederation create a weak government? So let's unpack this. Remember, it's not enough to identify the weakness of the Articles of Confederation, but we actually have to know how that led to the Constitution. The Constitution is, after the Articles of Confederation flopped, the founding fathers got a little smarter and wrote the Constitution. And we've been under the Constitution ever since. The Constitution is our type of government, or constitutional democracy, and our entire government is written down in the Constitution. So let's figure out how we got to the Constitution. First of all, Britain was tyrannical, all-powerful government that took rights from the colonists. So I want you to write right here, how did that influence the Articles of Confederation? So Britain was tyrannical and all-powerful and took away the rights of the colonists. Under the Articles of Confederation, colonists didn't want a strong government. And then I could even go as far as to say, here you could say, Congress was given little power. Whoops. As a result. All right, high taxes. So if under British rule there was high taxes, so under the Articles of Confederation, what? We'll just put, Congress not allowed to tax people. There we go. All right, a cruel king that abused the colonists. Misspelled people. There's a cruel king. So we're just no leader at all. No executive branch. There we go. Problem solved. No cruel king. We just won't have a leader. It's awesome. All right, colonists denied due process in court by jury of peers. If the colonists were denied due process in court by a jury of peers, they were just gonna, no judicial branch. Whoops. Branch states would try. Citizens. Whoops. Okay. So what this is saying is, because Britain denied due process in court by jury peers. So, for example, if you were accused of a crime, instead of taking you to court and letting you plead your case and facing your accuser, they would just go out and execute you. So what they did under the Articles of Confederation, they were like, well, let's safeguard against that because we don't want that to happen again, right? So under the Articles of Confederation, there was no judicial branch. States would just try all the citizens. Okay, because Britain forced colonists to quarter troops. The colonists were a little leery of, they wanted to know under this new type of government, what's going to happen with troops? Because we don't want to have to be forced to house troops again. So under forced colonists to quarter troops, now under the Articles of Confederation, they're going to be like, no troops, no national level troops. So there was Congress was not allowed. They were allowed to, like, if the states loaned them troops, remember all the states had their own armies. If they had to borrow people to fight wars, if they were going to fight a war, and they would get to manage or command that military, but they were not allowed to have their own military. Interesting, huh? Okay, so under here for summary, I want you to pause this video and I want you to answer this essential question. What was the Articles of Confederation and why did it fail? What was the Articles of Confederation and why did it fail? So I want you to write that right here. How do you see these things as being problematic? Having no leader, having no executive branch, having no judicial branch, having no national troops. Colonists didn't want a strong government, so Congress was given little power. They couldn't tax the people. And then look up here because some of this will be a little bit too, will help you with that. But I want you to answer the essential question right here, and I want you to answer it right here. So pause the video and get her done. Okay, so you're back. Hopefully you answered this essential question right here. All right, so we're moving on, and I only have a couple more minutes in this video, so I got to hurry up. Identify the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation that led to the writing Constitution. Essential question, how did the Constitution fix everything that was wrong in the Articles of Confederation? So now we've moved on to the Articles of Confederation flopped. Yes, it did. And now we're moving on to the Constitution. How did we end up with the Constitution we have? The essential question is, how did the Constitution fix it? Well, I just said that. Okay, so I'll start with Shays' Rebellion. Shays' Rebellion was, it was started in Massachusetts. It was led by a Revolutionary veteran. He fought in the Revolutionary War, Shay, and he was like, I fought a war against the British because they were tyrannical and they taxed me heavily. And I fought that war, and now it's been replaced by a government that is taxing me heavily and infringing on my rights. So he's like, what was the point? So he started this rebellion, and there were lots of rebellions, but this is the most popular in Massachusetts. It led by a Revolutionary War veteran, almost overtook Massachusetts Army. Guys, this was huge. If this rebellion would have overtook Massachusetts Army, then guess what? The state would have been taken over completely, and there's no national government to stop it. And there's no national troops. There's no bring in the Army, bring in the Air Force, no. If they would have overtook Massachusetts, and they almost did, then the whole country would have been in trouble. Like, it could have been a Revolutionary War, guys. Military coup. So it was scary. So merchants and wealthy people were afraid that more rebellions could rise up and overtake the state armies. And with no national army, the nation could turn chaos and civil war. This scared rich people because their money and their stability was based on peace and not uproar. Something had to be done about the Articles of Confederation. Something had to be done. Okay, so I recognize. So the Constitutional Convention took place. Constitutional Convention. Guys, the meaning is in the word. Constitution is literally in the word. So what happened during the Constitutional Convention? That's right. They wrote the Constitution. The word is literally right there. So there you go. Constitutional Convention. Committee wrote the Constitution. George Washington presided. Ooh, there's a word. Presided. It almost sounds like president. So presided means to kind of rule over. To president means to rule over, kind of. So they kind of have the same meaning. So he kind of ruled over he was like the leader in charge of the committee. Okay, so we took all the weaknesses here of the Articles of Confederation, and now we're going to plug in the Constitution. How did the Constitution fix all these weaknesses? Okay, so Congress had no power to tax. Under the Constitution, Congress can now tax. Yay. Congress had no power to regulate trade. Congress granted more power. All right. Congress had no power to enforce its laws. Again, Congress granted more power. Now you have to enforce its laws. If you don't, guess what? The FBI is coming to your house. The CIA, those government officials, they're there to enforce the laws. So if there's a national law, like you can't steal drugs out of your basement, they can enforce that. They will send the FBI to a house that's doing that illegal activity and they'll take over. So they are granted lots of power. No national court system. Now, let's say now a judicial branch is formed. Yay. And that was the birth of the judicial branch. Same thing. Now an executive branch is formed. And a president is elected. So we now have a judicial branch under the Constitution. We have an executive branch under the Constitution. This is exciting, guys. Okay, so weaknesses, changes to the Articles of Confederation required unanimous consent of all 13 states. Near impossible. Now the Constitution can easily be amended. All right, Congress had no power to tax. Ooh. Now let's just say federal government. Whoops. Can tax. Okay, now understand when I say federal government, there's different words for this. Federal government, national government, central government. They all mean the same thing. Congress had no power to regulate trade. Congress, okay, given more power. Had no power to enforce laws. Did we just do that? Yeah, that's on there twice. Sorry, guys. Congress, we'll just put Congress granted more power. All right. America was in debt and couldn't pay its Revolutionary War vets or other debts. So America was in debt and couldn't pay its Revolutionary War vets. So now Congress can collect taxes to pay bills. What a concept. Okay, so these are how the Constitution actually fixed a lot of the problems, the weaknesses of Articles of Confederation. We fixed it. They fixed it. They got smart. And so this is great. So for the summary, I want you to pause the video and I want you to answer this essential question. How did the Constitution fix everything that was wrong with the Articles of Confederation? I want you to write that right here. If you don't have enough room, do your margin. You write in the margin, back of the paper, it doesn't matter. But I want you to answer this question right here in the summary. Ready? Pause. Go. Okay, I'm so glad you're back. The next standard is interpret the intentions of the preamble of the Constitution. And I have 1 minute. So I'm not going to have time to go over this. The essential question was, what is the preamble of the Constitution and what does it mean? And I will have to save this for another video. Thanks for staying with me, guys. I'll be back.